Live from Leimert Park, USA, I'm Tavis Smiley, and you're listening to KBLA Talk 1580. So glad to see you and me back in stride again. Our phone number, 1-800-920-1580, 1-800-920-1580. All of our socials can be found at KBLA 1580. That's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, everything at KBLA 1580. Let me also invite you to download our app at KBLA 1580. Download the app and take us with you anywhere in the world and listen to us in real time wherever you are, so long as you download the app right now at KBLA 1580. Should you miss us any day in real time, check out the podcast of our program by going to the app, the website, Anchor, Spotify, Apple, so many places to get the podcast of this program and listen at your leisure should you miss us any day in real time. But I am delighted to have you along live with us today for the next 3 hours. You can also watch the live stream of this program by tapping the KBLA TV icon on our app or by going to our YouTube channel. Let me also invite you to follow me on Facebook and Instagram at The Real Tavis Smiley and get Twitter updates at Tavis Smiley. Another great show on tap for you today. In our second hour, who exactly was J. Edgar Hoover? Of course, most of us know him as not only the first director of the FBI, but also as an autocrat and a schemer who strong-armed the rest of the country into submission, a man who gave bonuses to black agents to help set up Black Panther Party leader Fred Hampton, who was killed, as you know, in a police raid in Chicago while he slept. And, of course, we know Hoover for using lies and blackmail in a failed attempt to coerce Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. to abandon his civil and human rights work by committing suicide. But who was Hoover beyond being a one-dimensional tyrant? No debate about that. Dr. Beverly Gage joins us in hour 2 to discuss what's being called a crisply written, prodigiously researched, and frequently astonishing new biography called G-Man, J. Edgar Hoover and the Making of the American Century. In our third hour, a conversation about taking the proper steps right now to boost your short and long-term brain health. What are the things that set super-agers apart from people with weak memory skills? How do you curate an age-proof brain? We'll be joined by internationally renowned brain health expert, Dr. Mark Milstein, who will download us on new strategies to improve memory, protect immunity, and fight off dementia in hour 3. I cannot wait for that conversation about how to improve my long-term brain health. But in this first hour today, speaking of brains that are pretty healthy, let's talk politics and more with our brilliant regular contributor, prominent civil rights attorney, and towering public intellectual, Connie Rice. Connie, how are you today?
Hey, Tavis, with this age-damaged brain, I'm holding steady through the madness. Holding steady.
You always are, and I'm glad to have you back on. As always, a lot to talk about today. It's going to be difficult trying to squeeze all this in 60 minutes. Let's see how well you and I can do it getting all this covered today. So much stuff going on. I don't even know where to start. There's Trump stuff. There's you saw his comments about terminating the Constitution. There is the Georgia Senate runoff tomorrow between Herschel Walker and Raphael Warnock. But today here in Los Angeles, where this radio station is flagship, is December the 5th, and this is the day where the L.A. County Registrar-Recorder, County Clerk's Office, certifies the results of the L.A. mayoral election, providing what might be considered an exclamation point to L.A. Mayor-elect Karen Bass's historic run. I suspect we'll start there. Those who listen to this station regularly, and I hope that's you, you know that this weekend we are hosting a major block party. It's called the Welcome Home Mayor-elect Karen Bass event in historic Leimert Park this Saturday, December the 10th. More about that later in this hour. You've been hearing the promos about that. It's going to be a great performance, a great day, I should say, with performances from Brian McKnight and Guapale and Club Nouveau, and Karen Bass will be live with us on stage at 11 a.m. It's going to be a great day in Leimert Park this Saturday. We'll talk about that again when we move forward. So we're already doing our part to celebrate this election, but the results are actually officially certified today. So let me just start by asking Connie what you make of this historic election of the first woman and the second African-American to lead the City of Angels.
Well, it's an astounding story because with all of the money that was thrown at this election from the other campaign, you'd have thought that Karen Bass's campaign machine would have been totally overwhelmed. But what's astounding is that you've got, I mean, she led by a 7-point margin after the primaries, which was shocked everybody, because at election night, you'd have thought that Rick Caruso won.
Mm-hmm.
But as the votes got tallied more and more and more, her margin of victory grew and grew and grew. And she maintained it plus, I believe, in the final numbers. And they haven't even totally finished everything. I guess the certification deadlines, but there's some votes that came in late. But that's the astounding story. Money didn't do it. And I think that Karen's inspirational record and persona that you can't disconnect from her record, I think that shone through the noise and all the attacks from the police protective league, the union, the police union. None of that stuck. And it's really fascinating because I can show you a dozen races where those kinds of attacks and that amount of money differential, 15-1, really wiped out the other side. So I'm dying to hear from Rafe Sonnenschein and Fernando Guerra and all of the folks who pick apart these elections and can tell us what really happened. I want to hear that story.
Yeah, there's a lot to be told, and they've been releasing parts of the story, as you know, as they discover it. But again, all the final numbers will be certified today here in Los Angeles, and we'll get an even clearer picture of what happened and how she pulled this off in the days ahead. There's no doubt in my mind, having worked for Tom Bradley, as you well know, when I first met you, I was working for Tom Bradley, and I remember those days fondly, working for the mayor and meeting a lot of people in this city, like Connie Rice and God rest his soul, Johnny Cochran. So many people I met and I remain friends with to this day from serving for Tom Bradley as one of his aides. So those are great days in my life, and so it means a great deal to me to see another African-American elected mayor and the first woman, of course, to lead the city. So there's no doubt in my mind, Tom Bradley included, respectfully, that no one has ever run for mayor in this city who was more qualified than Karen Bass. You can't argue her qualifications. Speaker of the Assembly, started the Community Coalition, serving in Congress. All the things that Karen Bass has done, I think, prepared her better than anybody else who's ever run to be mayor of this city. No doubt about that. But what I keep getting questions about, Connie, from friends all across the country, I suspect you're getting some of this as well, is how they process the fact that, to your point, she held off a $100 million plus assault. Now, that could be a game changer in politics if people think that can be emulated around the country. All kinds of folk running for offices here and there who have this kind of money. You've seen it tried in other places, and typically it works. People with that kind of money end up winning. It didn't happen here. So the question is whether or not the circumstances in this, so-called progressive city, Rick Caruso coming after Donald Trump. We're sick of the billionaire stuff. We're sick of folks trying to buy elections. A bunch of other issues I could put on the docket right now, which I don't want to waste time doing. But the question is whether or not this is such a unique race, and Karen Bass's success here cannot be replicated necessarily across the country, or whether or not you see this as a game changer in money not being the end-all, be-all in our politics.
I think you got to go race by race, Tavis. In this particular race at this particular moment, I think you had a number of big factors, sort of larger contextual factors. Increase in turnout for women, increase in turnout for Gen Z. Gen Z made a big difference in several elections around the country in the midterms. And you had this yearning for coalitional cohesion. And I think that's what Karen's, her record, her being, everything about her life has been about pluralistic coalitions, not just race, not just gender, but LGBTQ. She's looked at class. She's looked at compound race and class. She understands sort of the tectonic stuff that's driving us under. And I think the voters understood that her policies and her ability to create coalitions, people understand there's no one person who can do this. It takes all of us rowing in the boat together. And she does that. She puts us in the boat, the right boat, and she rows us in the right direction. That's what she did when she was fighting the drug tsunami that engulfed South Central. And she tried to, she's fighting the epidemic of the crack epidemic. And she's done it when she had to lead and get that Justice and Policing Act bill out of Congress and to the Senate. Only Karen could have done that. with those crazy Republicans in the House. So, she does things that nobody else can do, and I think the public understood that. But it also, what her politics say, because folks have said, Connie, we're not the majority anymore. I said, listen, African Americans are going to have to get like Karen and knit together, community by community, the folks who want to solve problems. She's a problem solver, and she appeals to people who want results. So the racial stuff can be transcended. You and I both know that anti-black bias is universal. You can go anywhere in the world and see it. It's like Baskin-Robbins, 57 flavors. I just need to know which flavor, right? But you and I and people like Karen have to transcend that stuff, right? And we have to be able to get people to get beyond it, and we pull together coalitions of problem solvers. That's the politics for when African Americans are a declining minority. We're like less than 8% of the city right now. And in Bradley's day, what were we, 12%? And
it dropped every time he ran for mayor.
And it's going down. It's going down. So we're going to have to get like other small groups that are influential fulcrums, where we can be the wedge in the system positive,
Right, sure.
We can be the group that pulls everybody together. And it's sort of minority coalition power.
Yep. Let me come back to that. When we move forward, I want to stay on this issue for a second here. This notion of the challenges politically to the power that African Americans have wielded, whatever power it is that we have had, relatively speaking. You hear Connie suggesting that as our numbers decrease in this city and across the country, frankly, we're not making babies the way other communities are. And so as our numbers decrease, our power decreases. And how do we process that? We keep talking about the fact that a few years from now, we'll be a country where people of color make up the majority. Yeah, that's true. But specifically inside of Black America, our numbers are going down. What does that mean long-term, locally, regionally, nationally for the power that we have had over the past number of decades? I want to come back to that notion because it's important. It's bigger, much bigger than just the city of Los Angeles. Again, the runoff is tomorrow in Georgia between Raphael Warnock and Herschel Walker. We'll talk about that. Donald Trump's insane comment this weekend that he wants to terminate the Constitution, and a great deal more to talk about in this first hour as we continue our conversation with the towering public intellectual, a regular on this program. We're grateful for her voice. Connie Rice is on KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about. Good thing we've got 3 hours. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
Life is uncertain. It's okay to feel stressed, anxious, worried, or frustrated. It's normal. With CalHope's free and secure mental health resources, it's easy to get the help you and your loved ones need when you need it the most. Call our warm line at 833-317-4673 or live chat at calhope.org today.
Health is Wealth and Medicare and Covered California's open enrollment for medical insurance is here. RHJ Insurance Agency can help you find affordable rates and the plan that's just right for you and your family. Call 562-204-6120 for your free quote. Don't leave your health to chance. Open enrollment is here and affordable coverage is just a phone call away. Call 562-204-6120 for your free quote and get the coverage you need. Go to www.rhjins.com.
I'm funked up. My kitchen stinks, now that dinner burnt up. Gross. I funked up. Room smells so bad, she hit me with the breakup. Damn, son. Anyone got Febreze? I funked up. Forgot today was trash day and it stunk up. You can undo those odors, right? Yeah. You just spray. And all the motors go away. With Febreze, yeah, you just spray. And all the problems go away. Rewind. Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
Nacho fries are back at Taco Bell. You know, the fries covered in bold Mexican spices you dip in a warm nacho cheese sauce. You can also dunk them in nacho cheese sauce or pour the sauce onto a pile of them and create like a nacho fries nachos. The thing is that you eat them with nacho cheese sauce. That's what makes them nacho fries. Otherwise, you're just eating fries and sipping on nacho cheese sauce, and that's the wrong way. Sorry, just really passionate about nacho fries.
Nacho fries are back, only at Taco Bell. At participating U.S. Taco Bell locations for a limited time only while supplies last. Contact local store for hours and participation which vary.
Sparkly and shiny and bold and bright. And this holiday season, Ulta Beauty has something for everyone on your list, even you. Because our kind of holiday is you having your kind of holiday with incredible must-haves like the Dyson hairdryer and a new limited edition blue, shimmery palettes from Morphe and Tarte, plus fragrances from Ariana Grande and more. So revel in that holiday bliss. Head to your local Ulta Beauty or buy online and pick up in store. Ulta Beauty. The possibilities are beautiful.
You know that Big Bargain detergent jug is 85% water, right?
85% water? I thought I was getting a better deal because it's so big.
If you want a better clean, Tide Pods are only 12% water. The rest is pure, concentrated cleaning ingredients.
Ooh, pass me the intercom thingy.
Attention shoppers. If you want a real deal, try Tide Pods.
Don't pay for water. Pay for clean. If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Pods.
Water content based on the leading bargain liquid detergent.
Interrogating your assumptions and expanding your inventory of ideas. Let's get back to Tavis Smiley on KBLA Talk 1580.
Let's get back to Connie Rice on KBLA Talk 1580. Our phone number 1-800-920-1580, 1-800-920-1580, talking politics in this hour with Connie Rice. We were talking before that break about the historic election of Karen Bass here in Los Angeles. Those election results will be certified today. So today it becomes official, but we already know that she is going to be the first woman and the second African-American to lead the city of Los Angeles. Connie was making the point a moment ago, and I know this well because I worked for Tom Bradley. Tom Bradley was mayor of the city of L.A. for 20 years. First African-American to do so, lost to Sam Yorty, 69, won in 73, and went on every 4 years to win re-election, lost being governor of this state by less than, not even, but less than 1 vote per precinct. That's how close he became. He came, I should say, to becoming the governor of the state of California, but once he won in 73, never looked back. 5 consecutive 4-year terms, 20 years as mayor of this city, and yet every time he ran, every 4 years he stood for re-election, the numbers of African Americans in the city of Los Angeles proper was decreasing, and yet Tom Bradley kept winning. So talk about coalition politics. You can't do that for 20 years if you're not establishing coalitions with other groups, and Connie's point is that that's what we've seen Karen Bass do this time around. That said, though, Connie, you put your finger on something that I want to interrogate a little further here, and that is that in this city and across the nation, the numbers of black folk are shrinking. What does that do long term to our power, and how can we, in the months and years ahead, not have this correlation between a decrease in numbers and a decrease in political heft?
We've always been the minority, except in states like Mississippi. But in the times when we were a majority of a state, that's when they reinstated slavery light, precisely because we were a majority and could elect people. So when the Reconstruction ended, that's when they lowered the boom and started the White Terror of the Klan and so forth to make sure that our large proportion of southern states didn't translate into anything except a new form of slavery. But let's go back. Our entire history, Tavis, has been as a minority supported by coalitions. Abolition was a multiracial movement. Desegregation and the King, nonviolent civil rights movement, that was a multiracial movement. Every single movement that has that in which we have forged our freedom and fought for equality has had allies and coalitions, and you and I would still be picking cotton if it weren't for coalition politics. Okay, so this isn't South Africa. We have never been outside of that brief period right after slavery. We've never been the majority population in a state, and so everything we do is going to have to be good. And by the way, we are the most inspirational group in the United States because it is through our pathos and our massive savage suffering and fighting our way out of that we have given meaning to the constitutional amendments that everybody now enjoys the protections from. So the post-Civil War amendments to the Constitution, 13th, 14th, 15th, all of that leading up to the 21st Amendment, and all of those amendments come from our effort to free ourselves from slavery and our allies who helped us. So it is through the African American experience. We teach America what its credo means. Black African Americans are the ones who have taught this country the meaning of the Constitution, and we've made it a reality for everybody. So when we freed ourselves, we freed all of America. Who saved us from Trump? It was African American women who said, "Hold my beer." And in North Carolina, it was Jim Clyburn who saw that Biden was the only one on that stage who could have gotten enough white Americans who have gone down the rabbit hole of nutsoid, get enough of them to come out of crazy land and try to save the country from a megalomaniac who's holding nut jobs for Nazis conferences at his Mar-a-Lago resort. So it's always been coalitions. It's always been allies. And I think that when we speak to the fact that we're the ones who have made real, I think James Baldwin called it realizing America.
That's right.
America is an idea. It's achieving America. We are the main folks who have achieved what we have of the reality attached to the promise. And so I think that moral mantle, it comes through our Black church leadership. It comes through a lot of our Black political leadership. Some of our Black political leaders, we got to kind of pretend they aren't there. but through our leadership, I think that's how you create the coalitions. Now, it means that you can have a Mandela Barnes almost get Ron Johnson out of office, that crazy senator from Wisconsin, Tavis. He came within a hair's breadth, but because folks in Milwaukee didn't think it meant anything, they didn't turn out. Yeah. And we could have taken Ron Johnson, he's the senator who said, "When did white supremacy become a bad phrase?"
That's right. Yeah.
And Mexicans with calves as big as cantaloupes because they're lugging drugs over the border. That ignorant, he's still in. He could have been taken out of the Senate, but had we turned out a little bit more in Milwaukee, so we have power. We have power, but we have to do it the way we've seen King do it.
Yeah.
Fannie Lou Hamer, who was more in your face and really fighting from the trenches. There are different kinds of leadership for different kinds of situations, but in the coalition phase, if we are the minority and declining, we have to exert a larger moral political leadership.
Yep. I got 2 minutes, 2.5 before news, traffic, and sports. Let me ask this one question finally about Karen Bass. And on the other side, we will continue our conversation about politics across the nation, including the Georgia Senate runoff, Donald Trump, sadly, and other issues. Final question on Karen Bass in 2 minutes. Can she do it? I made the joke a week or so ago here that you've seen the same thing I've seen, kind of. They always turn cities, and for that matter, the nation, over to Negroes when it gets so bad that they don't want to deal with it. So the question is, can Karen Bass, can she do it? Can she turn this around? It's a tall order. LA is a hot mess right now, Connie.
It is, and so is a lot of the rest of the country. She can do it. First of all, I have all the confidence in the world that if she has the right vision, it's big enough and bold enough, and she gets the right advisors. What she can do is she can tell the city what it's going to take to solve these gargantuan problems like homelessness, like income inequality. If she's bold enough to say, this is what it's really going to take, and here are the phases, and here's what I can get accomplished in the first 3 years, and here are the partners we need, here's the power we need from Sacramento, here's how we're going to use the bond money you've passed, I'm going to pull everybody together jointly so we're all focusing, all in the boat, rowing together in the same direction, she can do it.
Yeah. From your mouth to God's ears, it is a tall order, from homelessness to police to lack of affordability for housing. It is a tough job. And Karen Bass wanted it, and she got it. And we'll celebrate her getting it again this Saturday. It's our Welcome Home Mayor-elect Karen Bass event in historic Leimert Park. This Saturday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. If you want to be a vendor for that event, hit us right now. A few vendor spaces left. Info at SmileyAudiomedia.com. Info at SmileyAudiomedia.com. But you don't want to miss this Saturday. Brian McKnight, Club Nouveau, Guapole, and some other performances and some other people on stage and some other VIPs that we'll be announcing throughout the week. It's going to be a great day in Leimert Park this Saturday as we welcome home Mayor-elect Karen Bass. More of our conversation with Connie Rice when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
From all of us to all of you, happy holidays from KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
It's Monday, December 5th. Good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Moore, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. African-American quarterback Deshaun Watson is back on an NFL field after a lengthy absence. Trey Thomas has that story for us.
On Sunday, the Cleveland Browns quarterback returned from an 11-game suspension and was showered with boos as he faced his former team, the Houston Texans. Despite a 27-14 Browns win, Watson struggled in his first game in nearly 2 years, throwing for 131 yards and an interception. Before sitting out the entire 2021 season, Watson was accused by more than 24 women of sexual misconduct during massage sessions. I'm Trey Thomas.
And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
Crash in Long Beach is blocking the carpool and left lane on the 405 northbound before the 710. The 405 stopped up starting at Palo Verde Avenue. And we got a crash in Bell Gardens on the 710 southbound for Florence Avenue. It's on the right-hand shoulder, but it's a slow drive from Atlantic Boulevard. In Gardena, accident reported 110 southbound for El Segundo Boulevard. Looks like the left lane is still taken away there. The 110 is a slow drive from the 105. And they're looking for a crash in Santa Ana, blocking the carpool lane 55 southbound for MacArthur Boulevard. Watch for sudden slowing.
Dell's Days of Deals start now with savings on select XPS laptops and Alienware PCs powered by 12th Gen Intel Core processors, plus savings on accessories and free shipping. Call 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The following is a public service announcement for USC football coach Lincoln Riley and Chip Kelly at UCLA. Deion Sanders is in your neighborhood, and there's a good chance he'll be knocking on the front door of the top high school players in California. Deion is the new coach at Colorado after a fabulous run at Jackson State. Previous coaches at Colorado tried to recruit California talent. The difference is that the fathers and the uncles of today's top high school players saw Deion light up the NFL. Deion already has a commitment from Winston Watkins, a 4-star wide receiver from Fort Myers, Florida. Watkins was considering Texas A&M, but changed his mind when Deion was confirmed at Colorado. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. This sports report was brought to you by MVP Accident Attorneys. When it comes to your settlement, we're a slam dunk. Call 833-MVP-WINS or check their website at themvp.com for a free case review.
When you're the victim of a car accident, hiring the right law firm can be the difference between a rewarding settlement and striking out. Call the pros at MVP Accident Attorneys at 833-MVP-WINS for your free consultation.
Call on me, your MVP.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Central Neighborhood Health Foundation is a full-service network of federally qualified health care centers that serves local communities throughout Los Angeles, Riverside, and San Bernardino counties. CNHF clinics provide low-cost to no-cost, compassionate, comprehensive, quality health care, which includes primary care services for chronic disease and diabetes management, pediatric and women's services, preventive care, vision and dental screenings, COVID-19 testing and vaccines, flu vaccines, behavioral health, HIV, and substance use services. Virtual telehealth visits are available from the comfort of your home with highly qualified physicians and medical professionals. CNHF also provides peer support specialist training and help with housing navigation. Central Neighborhood Health Foundation. Your wellness is our priority. Comprehensive care built on trust and respect. For more information, visit cnhfclinics.org or call 213-536-5815 today to locate a clinic near you.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, Maisha Cairo here, KBLA, live at Chase Bank on Crenshaw and Vernon for the In This Together tour with female business owners, a day of empowerment, community panels, and best of all, tips on building business from marketing to capital. I was able to speak with one of the panelists, the owner of Kids Love. Take a listen.
So Kids Love, KIDSLUV, is a first-to-market zero-sugar vitamin-enhanced functional beverage for kids.
So the zero sugar is really important because if not, the sugar gets on the teeth, it can cause cavities. So as a mom, I love this vitamins and hydration in one. Tell us what's happening here with Chase Bank today.
So I would say, I think what Chase is trying to do is create a community actually for entrepreneurs, a place where people can go. They have the space to do it. It's a beautiful space, and to be able to have these conversations. There are so many benefits to being a women-owned and certified business, from a standpoint of getting into stores, not paying the slotting fees of what it takes to be in stores. So I think Chase is trying to bring awareness to a lot of the things that people just don't know about, that not only the bank can help, but outside of the bank, their relationships can help create.
That's beautiful. And I know, this is how we build equity in communities of color, is kind of spreading that information and that knowledge. So thank you for being here today and doing your part and letting these women know that it is possible. For KBLA 1580, I'm Maisha Cairo in the community with Chase.
Looking for legitimate political discourse without the bear spray? Tune in and speak out. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Tavis Smiley. She's Connie Rice, and we're continuing our conversation about all things politics. Tomorrow, as you well know, in Georgia, all the nation's eyes are focused on this race. One more again, as we say, between. They got to be sick of this in Georgia, but I'm sure the turnout will be fine. Let's hope it will be at least for Raphael Warnock. But one more again, Raphael Warnock v. Herschel Walker. The control of the U.S. Senate is not at stake, but Joe Biden would sure love to have that 51st vote. Not a whole lot to preface here, Connie. What are you keeping your eyes on? What are you watching tomorrow vis-a-vis this race in Georgia?
Well, the big factor, the big unknown factor here is whether Republicans turn out on Election Day. Mm-hmm. If there's a huge surge of the Republican vote turning out for this, despite the fact that the race no longer is going to determine who runs the Senate, then there's a chance that the huge buildup of early Democratic votes will get washed out and overcome. And it's very important to win this race, even though it's not going to determine Senate control, because it will determine committee makeup of the committees, mm-hmm. and it'll give us a margin, a tiny, razor thin margin that may make Manchin and Sinema a little less able to torpedo everything. So it's important for a number of reasons, but the real reason that it's important, Tavis, is that look at the racism here. Mm. I mean, Reverend Warnock is an example of how white America requires us to be at the highest education, the most eloquent. We have to be in the top. They'll accept our top 2%. Mm-hmm. And their average Joes can hold all kinds of positions and power, and nobody even thinks twice about it. Mm. But the same racism that forces a focus on, well, you have to be at Obama's level in order if you're African American, but you can be an idiot like Ron Johnson and they'll vote, that's fine. Mm. That racism is on one end. The other end of the spectrum is the racism that says Reverend Warnock and Herschel Walker are interchangeable. And, think about the sort of savage indifference of the racism that puts somebody up who, for me, the debate was, is he more like alfalfa or buckwheat? Mm. I mean, he is so unfit. He's as unfit as Trump is unfit. And that's who the Republicans put up, because Trump put him up there as a black man to counter Reverend Warnock. Well, it's an insult to the African-American community. It's a double insult to Reverend Warnock, who has been an amazing senator. The stuff he's brought home to Georgia as a senator in just 2 years. He's an amazing coalition builder like Karen. He should have been, it shouldn't have even been close, but Georgia, white Georgia, those voters were angry that Ossoff and Warnock made it into the Senate. And that was also because of Trump. So it's always kind of revealing when you parse the racism.
Yeah. What's fascinating for me is that in the final days of this campaign, so here we are in the runoff when it really counts, when it really matters to determine, again, whether or not Democrats will get that 51st seat. To your point about Trump, who we'll talk about more expressly and specifically in a moment, Biden has stayed out of Georgia and Trump has stayed out of Georgia in this runoff. Isn't that fascinating? Not both stayed away.
Yeah. Yeah, and Obama went in, and the great closer came in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they're reading the polls. I don't know what those polls say, but they're reading the polls about who can sort of trigger the other side more. They asked Trump to stay out because there would have been. But I'll tell you what backfired.
Mm-hmm.
What backfired in this Georgia race was the lawsuit to shut down early voting on Saturday,
exactly.
the Saturday after Thanksgiving. Right. And it was so outrageous. People got that message somehow that the Republicans were trying to, once again, on top of the voter suppression that they've already done, there has to be an equal protection argument for African-American voters and folks who live in African-American districts for them to have to wait 2 and 3 hours, whereas voters in other areas only wait 10 minutes. You know, this voter suppression, we're kind of building it into the model now.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, as students, they shut down all of the access for students on these campuses. And, you know, all those campuses in Atlanta, they're critical. I was looking at interviews of those brilliant Morehouse students who were, the young African-American males talking about, I had to get out because women's white right to choose is on the line. I mean, you'd have been so proud. Those wonderful Gen Z voters, they have to wait 2 and 3 hours. They don't have 2 and 3 hours to stand in line. You know, we've got to redouble our efforts and try to get some national voting rights legislation really needed to pass. But look at us. In spite of all the suppression, we're out there. We're just not going to let them. It's just like no way, no how, not giving up now.
Yeah. Well, that's your point. I mean, if Democrats had that 51st vote, that's the point you made a moment ago, that they don't have to tiptoe so much around Manchin and Sinema. It's because of Manchin and Sinema that John Lewis Voting Rights Bill Act has not passed the Senate. So again, you get a 51st vote, you don't have to be as considerate, pardon the pun, of Manchin or Sinema when you move forward. So that's why this vote really does matter, again, on top of Connie's point about the fact that it determines the committee structures. Let me just ask you this, though. It is fascinating to me, though, and you unpacked it beautifully, about why this race is so close, given the fact that one of these candidates is just not qualified to be there. But when you put your finger on this early voting thing that backfired, you're absolutely right about that, as you typically are. But what that says to me, though, and I think I raised this issue last week, Connie. I want to get your take on this. What it says to me, though, is that, as if we needed more evidence, that all we're getting from the GOP, the Republicans, is lip service about how much the black vote does, in fact, matter to them. Because here was an opportunity for them to show that they're unafraid of the black vote, that they respect the black vote. But to your point, they doubled down. They filed lawsuits trying to stop early voting. And again, not that we need more evidence, but that's just another item on the agenda that shows you that they really don't care about black voters.
No, I wish it were just that they don't care.
Yeah. I take your point.
I wish we were. What's the frame, Tavis?
Yeah,
we're not in that frame. I wish we were in that frame.
Yeah, I got you. Tavis, get the frame right. Get the frame right. Yeah.
We're in malignant suppression frame. They not only so it's a general. We've got to knock out, nullify.
That's right.
Eliminate Democratic votes in general, and the biggest supporters of the Democratic Party are African Americans. You remember when LBJ signed the Voting Rights Act? He said, "There goes the South for the Democratic Party."
That's right.
And the South went to the Southern strategy. Republicans said, "Yeah, we used to be the party of Lincoln. Come on over, Dixiecrats. Come on over, white racists. We're your home."
Mm-hmm.
we got something called the Southern strategy. And we're going to show you how to use Willie Horton to scare white people into voting. We're going to have you vote racial whiteness interests. And that's what the Southern strategy is, and they've been doing it for 50 years. So we've gone from the Southern strategy to outright white supremacy. It's just out there now. And you've got their ringleader of this flying freak show that we call the GOP. It's no longer a party. It's a cult of personality, and it's bent on power at all costs. They don't care about family values. Remember, it used to be family values and all of this moral majority and all. They don't care about the morals. They don't care about the family values. If Herschel Walker had paid for 10 abortions, and it's unbelievable who they'll vote for now. So open anti-Semitism, open racism, open homophobia. They're attacking trans children. They're attacking, they're separating mothers from their nursing infants at the border. I mean, family separation is something that white supremacy has done all over the world. Us on the auction block, and now Latinos at the border. Indian children sent to Indian schools, separated from their parents. So all of that, the nexus to what happened in slavery, these are tactics that have been used for 200 years. So I'm looking at it's no longer a party. It's a cult of personality. And it's a malignant cult, and they're out to destroy democracy. And the insurrection was the first torpedoing of the Constitution, and Trump is now openly saying, terminate the Constitution.
Let me come back to that. Hold that thought. Hold that thought 1 second. You're going exactly where I wanted to go. Trump is, at the moment at least, if not the leader of the RNC, the titular head of the party. And we'll talk about Donald Trump and the comments he made over the weekend that he wants to terminate the Constitution. More with Connie Rice when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Say the quiet part out loud. KBLA Talk 1580.
3 Bay Area counties have black women chief prosecutors. Maisha Cairo here with your K-Black Minute News, brought to you by CaliforniaBlackMedia.org. Civil rights attorney Pamela Price made history when she was elected Alameda County's first African-American district attorney. Price joins 2 other black women, Contra Costa County DA Diana Becton and San Francisco DA Brooke Jenkins, holding the same office in their Bay Area counties. Price is the 5th black woman to be elected district attorney in California. Former DAs on the list are Vice President Kamala Harris, who was San Francisco's DA from 2004 to 2010, and Jackie Lacey, who was Los Angeles County's DA for 2 terms from 2012 to 2020. KBLA listeners, what are your thoughts on these offices being held by black women? Let us know on all social media platforms at KBLA 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Ain't Too Proud is a celebration that brings the audience to its feet. Ain't too proud to beg, as you know it. The Grammy-winning songs, the Tony-winning movies. Ain't Too Proud, the life and times of the Temptations. Returning to the Amundsen December 13th. Tickets at AmundsenTheater.org.
The Institute for Diversity Certification is all about the 3 Ds: dedication, determination, and discipline. Learn more about our globally recognized diversity certification program today by calling 1-800-983-6192. Again, 1-800-983-6192, or visit diversitycertification.org. As the #1 organization for certified diversity professionals and also certified diversity executive credentials, diversitycertification.org will provide an opportunity for you to demonstrate dedication to the field, determination to make progress, and more discipline to your process. Go today and learn more about the diversity certification system. Call 1-800-983-6192. Again, 1-800-983-6192. Or go to diversitycertification.org. That's diversitycertification.org. The standard of excellence, equity, diversity, and inclusion.
Let's unpack a little bit more with Tavis Smiley. The conversation continues right now.
All right, Connie, you teed this up to the comments of one Donald Trump over the weekend. So in case you haven't heard this, former President Donald Trump called for the termination of the Constitution to overturn the 2020 election and reinstate him to power. These comments came on Saturday, part of his continued election denialism and pushing of these fringe conspiracy theories. Connie Rice, I don't need to say much more than that. Your take.
Yeah, we need to get some lithium down to Mar-a-Lago because he's losing it. No, really, he's spiraling. He's spiraling into the final meltdown. And it's because he feels the walls closing in on him. The new independent counsel for the Espionage Act documents pilfering cases, he's revving up. He's been cleared. The 2 Trump judges and a Bush judge slapped down the district court judge that bent over backwards to give him a special master. Can you imagine? Every drug dealer, every time they find out they're being investigated, they demand a special master to oversee the police. Nobody gets a special master at the investigatory stage. It's a violation of separation of powers. You can't even list the numbers of problems wrong with what Judge Cannon did. But the 11th Circuit reversed her completely and almost asked her, "Are you nuts?" So there was no more special master reviewing the documents. That investigation can go full steam ahead. You also have the Georgia election interference case that D.A. Willis is doing, and she's going down the tracks kind of fast, too. That indictment is probably going to come pretty soon. So there are 2 indictments that are probably going to come in the next 6 months, one earlier than the other. He feels that. He's been shut down. The Trump organization, that trial just ended, so his financial, he could lose all ability to operate as an organization and could be found guilty of civil fraud. So the walls are closing in, and he lost these midterms so badly that even the Republican leaders are starting to turn on him. So you can see him starting to crack. Yeah. He's holding nutcases for Nazis dinners at Mar-a-Lago. He's embracing anti-Semitism, open racism. He's lashing out, and now he's talking about we need to end the Constitution. This harm to him, stealing this election, the big lie. He's still suffering from chronic liarrhea. The big lie is that it means that we have to end the Constitution. He ended the peaceful transfer of power by flinging his thugs at the Capitol and causing an insurrection. When that didn't work, now he's coming back and saying we need to. He's issuing the call for his army of Proud Boys and Oath Keepers to somehow end the Constitution. This is actually kind of dangerous because when a morbid narcissist completely breaks down to the very bottom, they destroy everything they touch, everything in their path. They destroy everything. They'll destroy their families, their children. He'll destroy the GOP. He is going to go out with a flamethrower, and we need to. People, I hope the FBI is watching. I'm talking about Hoover. Hoover would probably be helping him, but the current FBI, at least there's some sane people in it. I hope that they are watching his supporters because as he spirals downward, I'm hoping that his hold on that 30% that's diehard MAGA isn't quite as hard as it was when he launched the insurrection. Yeah. But Tavis, keep your eye peeled because this is dangerous. Yep. It's dangerous. With these elections, the midterms, what I said I said as a former capital punishment lawyer, I said democracy got a stay of execution, but it's still on death row. And he has his hand on the switch.
I love, wow, a stay of execution, but it's still on death row. Only Connie Rice, chronic liarrhea, only Connie Rice. And when we come forward in our remaining moments with Connie Rice, 2 final questions. One about the Trump campaign in the months ahead and what these indictments mean for that campaign. And one final question about how she feels that we're headed toward a divided government in Washington even before we get to 2024. Connie Rice on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where we turn red lights to green lights and keep it moving.
The Los Angeles Urban League helps African American and others in underserved communities achieve true social parity, economic self-reliance, and civil rights. For over 100 years, Los Angeles Urban League has ensured our communities have access to careers with living wages, opportunities to start and grow businesses, and clear pathways to personal and professional growth. Programs like BizCamp, Construction Career Academy, Bob Business Ready, and B-Warp. The Black Wealth Attainment and Retention Program are examples of the ongoing events designed to make our centennial mission to rebuild Black Wall Street right here in LA a reality. To sign up for our newsletter or to support the Los Angeles Urban League with your time, talent, and donations, visit laul.org. That's laul.org. The Los Angeles Urban League is a proud sponsor of Urban Family Focus Saturdays at 7 a.m. on KBLA Talk 1580.
did you know addiction to drugs like meth or cocaine is a disease and not a choice? But getting help is. If you have stimulant use disorder, you, your family, and friends may have a lot of questions, including where to start. Choose Change California can help. Make a change today and find a proven treatment option for you at choosechangeca.org.
If you're a Los Angeles Department of Water and Power residential customer, listen to this. LADWP now offers convenient monthly billing through the new Level Pay program. Level Pay helps you budget for your utility bill with a predictable monthly amount that can also include past due balances. You'll know exactly how much you need to pay each month. Don't wait. Sign up today for Level Pay by calling 1-800-DIAL-DWP. That's 1-800-DIAL-DWP.
Wake up and text. Text and eat. Text and meet up with a friend you haven't seen in forever.
Hi.
Oh, hey. Text and complain that they're on their phone the whole time. Text and listen to them complain that you're on your phone the whole time. Text and whatever. But when you get behind the wheel, give your phone to a passenger. Put it in the glove box. Just don't text and drive. Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Conversations that matter. You're listening to Tavis Smiley on KBLA Talk 1580.
You heard Connie Rice a moment ago mention J. Edgar Hoover. She did that because I mentioned at the top of the hour that in our second hour today, we'll have a conversation about J. Edgar Hoover, who the man was really. We know he was a one-dimensional tyrant. He went after Fred Hampton, went after Dr. King, went after the Black Panther Party writ large with COINTELPRO. But who was J. Edgar Hoover? A fascinating new book out about him. We'll talk to the author of that text, Dr. Beverly Gage, in hour two. In the 3 minutes I have left for Connie Rice, two questions. One, Connie, these indictments are coming. There's no doubt about that. And that's one of the reasons why Trump jumped so early, of course, because he knows that while he's running, these indictments are coming. And he can say, see, once again, they're after me. The question very quickly is whether or not these indictments will, how can I put it, fuel his campaign or turn into a fire that consumes his campaign.
I think in the short term, it will jet fuel power his campaign. It'll energize his base and reignite the same crowd that stormed the Capitol. Long term, if he, Tavis, if he's in the middle of a trial, I think the trial can be done on the Espionage Act case fairly quickly, and it could come out in a number of ways. But conviction, unless it's a conviction that precludes him from running in a federal election, he'll ride it all the way to the new nomination.
Whew. All right, final question, exit question. Never mind what happens to Trump between now and 2024. In 2023, a few days from now, we're going to have a divided government. How are you feeling about this?
You know what? If I were Hakeem Jeffries, and congratulations to the new generation of Democratic leadership, if McCarthy can't get enough votes, and I'm hoping he can't, and they dissolve into a circling firing squad, I would be picking off just the number of Republicans and have them join with the Democrats and have them put in a sensible Republican who's an outsider as Speaker. You just take the speakership away from them. If there's any pathway to do that, that's what I would be working on. In the meantime, just pass the popcorn while they kill one another. Marjorie Taylor Greene tries to take over.
Yeah.
They're going to be ginning up their impeachment, their Hunter Biden committees and all kinds of irrelevant prosecutions to try and get back at the January 6th committee. Don't forget that committee report is also coming out. So yes. Buckle up.
Yep, the report's dropping. And how soon do you expect, no matter who the speaker is, again, particularly if it's Kevin McCarthy, how fast you expect the Hunter Biden investigation and how fast you expect the impeachment process of Joe Biden to begin?
Day one.
Yeah.
Those fools are going to go day one.
Yeah, somehow I thought you were going to say that, and I feel the same way. On the one hand, get the popcorn ready. On another hand, get on your knees and start praying, because it's praying time in America now. We're going to be praying Praying, and they're going to be praying Preying. Either way, it's praying time in America.
That's right. Grifters and predators party.
I love her. She's Connie Rice, our regular contributor. Connie, all the best to you. Happy holidays. If I don't talk to you before the season gets in full swing, I guess it is already. I'll talk to you soon. Take care, Connie.
Hey, take care. Bye-bye.
Good to have you back on. When we come forward in hour 2 of Tavis Smiley, a conversation about J. Edgar Hoover. What do you really know about this guy beyond the obvious that he didn't like black folks and got king and came for the Black Panther Party and came for Fred Hampton, killed Fred Hampton. So much more to talk about regarding who J. Edgar Hoover really was with this brand new text that's out. We'll talk about it in hour 2 after news, traffic, and sports on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Mike Moore, and here's